InShalla, I should say. And Ashe, blessings to you, my energetic beings. It is I, once again, Tanya D. So with Mercury on her way, it's really time for us to be on our way as well. So with our thoughts, that is moving forward, it's forward thinking, just transforming our thoughts to an optimistic attitude in our thinking behavior. You know, it's like what makes you excited, you know, spin the wheel and wherever it lands, be optimistic and focus on the positive and flick the unnecessary away. So it is February 3rd. It's probably a thirsty Thursday, but welcome to today's Daily Snippet. Again, I am your host. I'm a practicing holistic medium, a subtle energetic surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies, the spirit of West Africa, with subtle energies, elements, the elemental beings, the elemental realm into the imaginal realm through offerings, rituals, and prescriptions to really add to your own personal ingredients within your container. But my intention really is to merge the indigenous technologies with the subtle realms to really assist you into navigating your inner genius, your prime directive, kind of reintroducing yourself to and through the magical being that resides within you. My name is Tanya D, and welcome to my virtual medicine room. A shout out to Peter for commenting on yesterday's show. It's not in the settings, however, I did see you. It's all about the settings, right? But today is actually our last day of the elemental ox. Tomorrow we are actually beginning the cascading into the realm of the water tiger. It's these lunarities and solarities, if you will, creating this polarity, a duality. But today I brought in the messages from the portal, if you will, what I call the portal, the shaman's portal. But first up, we have the rattle. And the rattle is a spirit collar, or a collar of the spirit, at least one of them, right? It's carrying the prayers, the shaman's prayer to the four directions, the elemental directions. So the body of the rattle is like the earth spinning on its axis. So when we utilize the rattle, the medicine woman kind of is instilling through the chant a desired destiny into the future, utilizing a prayer with it like, the Great Spirit, may your will be done. So the rattle guides us to really pray for all of the earth, not just for our personal needs when we offer up our prayers for the highest good of all, our intentions, our invocations. Everything we need is actually provided for us if we can see with those eyes. So the rattle is kind of inviting us to work with the tools of spirit, but also to be careful. Words can also be sharp, right? They can hurt us and also others. So especially if they're not used mindfully. So setting our tools aside and taking up drawing into instruments of spirit, we're consciously stepping into the partnership with the divine universe, the galactic great spirit. So this is a time for being courageous in our deeds and not letting hesitation get in the way of our personal expression. And being that it's the first card, it's actually representation of the self in direction as well. Things that we need to let go of, what needs to be shed, an old wound that we no longer need to define ourselves by. So yeah, allowing the rattle to shake up and stir spiritual memoirs, I guess, that we need to let go of. And then following the rattle, I hit the wrong card. How did I do that? I put them in backwards, probably. No, good Lord, I really did put them in. Oh, there we are. The rattle, the coyote. The coyote. Oftentimes, the trickster, the sacred trickster, the coyote. But this is like creating detours for growth and understanding. It's just kind of ensuring that things don't go as planned. Maybe we trip over ourselves like I just did, finding my cards. I didn't check that I put them in the right way. But the energy, it's divine deception to really set us free from whatever is anchoring us and shackling us to things that don't really serve us. So sometimes it appears that we will get everything that we want, but only to find that the coyote brings us the opposing force of what we had actually hoped for. So it's like lessons that are being offered come in first confusing, but they're very sacred usually, and they're always for our highest good. So we kind of need to ask ourselves, you know, are we being seduced by what we think our heart desires? Could we be more superficial, sparkly, shiny? Are these aspects leading us into a moment, a thread? Perhaps we feel that in order to get what our heart desires, that we actually have to compromise an aspect of ourselves, possibly controlling others. Maybe we manipulate situations to ensure that our goals met. So the coyote, as an elemental animal totem, howls in the shadows, reminding us that, a lesson could be really painful to learn, and to also be aware of the shallow waters right now. So something or someone might pretend to be deep, but that really doesn't make them to be so deep. So no matter how seductive or superficial their traits are, or how beautiful or sparkly things appear, all that glitters there doesn't necessarily turn up to be gold, right, in our chalice. So no matter how many wishes that we make to change things, um, that's kind of the message, because it's otherworldly. So this also represents the West, the energy of the West, aspects that need to be put to rest, to die, an old story that really needs to be let go of, so that we can find a new meaningful story in our life, our authentic soul's perspective or perception, just dying off of those sparkly things. It's the needs versus the wants in those aspects. Now that I've messed this up a little bit, there we go. Next up, we have the other world, or the upper world, sorry. Other world to me, whatever. But the upper world is where our angels, our divine helpers, the ancient ones, all the varieties of the luminous beings that populate the upper world, the singer of the song in the realm of the fairies, the little people, the star. It's like the sound of the universe. So it's this place where we go to retrieve our destiny, find out who we will ultimately become, just discovering these unlimited potentials, our greatest potentials, the undreamt of the possibilities of those dreams. But it's also a place where the spirits of the dead arrive, all the spirits, whether it's a plant, a tree, an animal, etc., a human, when we complete our journey into the light. So the upper world is kind of calling us to step into our skin, our fully realized self, clearing the way, the thread lines of the distractions, so we can move into our higher elevated destiny and not fall to the temptations to craft a slightly more or different, improved idea or a version of ourselves. So oftentimes what we perceive as a problem or an obstacle is in fact just an irritation, the challenge, the forces of adversity that we really need to take that leap, the gigantic leap across the Grand Canyon, if you will. Baby steps, right? But being that it's actually the third card of the day, it represents the north, the water, that's the wisdom that we need to acquire. We've probably already learned the lessons from the south and the west, but the wisdom is ready to kind of mature with us, like climbing into our skin. What is our greatest medicine, our inner genius, our prime directive, that we're truly ready authentically to embrace? Like, what are the treasures that are buried so deeply, and they're kind of coming alive, they're becoming available to each and every one of us? That's kind of the message of that. Now, let's see where I put the next card. There we go. Following the upper world is the time master. So time for me is being fluid. Time and space are fluid. We generally construct time linear through our mind, where life events are kind of seeming as to be flowing in a straight line from past to future. But that right there is the delusion. It's the illusion. So time for me moves in patterns and fractals and flickers, and it's like turning a wheel that's never a straight line, but sometimes it can be straight like an arrow to hit the bullseye. But our tendency, being human, we tend to see time like a ticking clock. And mind you, I don't wear watches. I very often don't know what time we're in, or timeline, or time zone. But this image is just a reminder that it's only there so much to there's only so much time that we can spend in this dimension. It's kind of like an otherworldly currency at any given moment, where we can see time in all of its infinite potentials. So we have this otherworldly, all-encompassing energy, this frequency that's otherworldly, that we oftentimes shrink it down and create finite little portals, if you will. But it really all depends on our perspective. When the time master is visiting us, the master of time, it's asking us an important question about time. Are we going to break free from the limited cause and effect thinking that's moving beyond the linear illusion, welcoming the circles and the populars and the fractals and all the magic of the quality of time itself in the essence? So if we find ourselves in a moment with the wheel of time turning, you're able to influence the past, changing the present and the future kind of multidimensionally and simultaneously. So that's kind of the true test of the time master. So we're kind of being invited to take back our power, letting go of the past so we can really step into the flow of our life. So in the moment, we are all very powerful. We are our own time master or master of time, and anything and everything is actually possible. So representing the East, that's our possible destiny, the way that we can share our treasures and our gifts with others. So I kind of sense that this is a wake-up call for the 2022 portal, the 222 from yesterday, that we're in until the next 22222 portal, which is February 22nd, 2022. So there's lots of portals happening here. So use your spiritual tools or exercises as well, like meditation, chanting, movement, the dance even, whatever that is for you. Just be aware of the trickster, the coyote trickster. Call in those upper worldly beings and connect with the greater spirit. Be the own master of your timeline. Be fluid. It really is the energy of the Merlin. The effect of the Merlin, being able to move forwards and backwards in space and time, what I actually call the nomadic Merlin, if you will. That is kind of a thing for me. Dun, 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 dun. Now in the elemental realm today, we have a Yin Fire Pig. So that's this hidden nature in the branch, but our fire is a lone wolf. It's Yin Fire. It's a ding high. So the deepest aspects of our heart, the lower heart possibly, so our day needs to warm up. It needs nature. So the elementals of them both really. So I would light a candle, a green one, to assist with today's transformation, just elevating our vibration. But the water energy of the pig, born between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m., this energy, and honestly, you can have this energy between the day, the month, and the year, but the hour is more of our emotional aspect, if you will. But the pig tends to kind of plod along, even though they're kind of part of the fire element. So their metabolism can be a little bit sluggish or a lot. They just don't burn off calories like they should. So they frequently have problems with their weight. They could also have problems with their metabolism, things related to the thyroid, utilizing their voice. So if it isn't functioning correctly, that's what happens. So as a pig, they might fret continually about their self-image, their body image, wishing they were graceful like a gazelle, if you will, but finding that they feel like a bowl in a china shop, making things fall over a lot of the time, knocking things over, crashing down. They tend to be pessimistic, actually, which actually brings down our energy level, right? So they can get depressed. This becomes a vicious cycle. And pretty soon they're sinking deeper and deeper into like a bog, if you will. Then they become a couch potato. They have a bag of chips on their belly. They're binge watching Netflix, feeling helpless about life, feeling that life is just justifying their perception of it. And then once in a while, their metabolism runs crazy and you get really skinny because it's burning too hot. So the pig feels this way oftentimes because at some point their dreams were shattered, literally shattered. So they had to give up an aspect of their career, their family, or something that was truly important to their heart. So when the pig is simply existing instead of thriving and living, they have, this is the core of their physical complaints. It's actually kind of obvious, really, if you as a pig, you aren't exercising much, you shouldn't really indulge in sugar, right? Because we are energetic beings, ultimately, but that's exactly what they tend to do. We hoard. So if you fear rejection in relationships, you can create a body that justifies that rejection in the way of your thinking, your thoughts, right? So it's things like, if I were to lose 30 pounds or be 30 pounds thinner, I could have any relationship that I wanted. But on the other hand, because I've witnessed this, if you were 30 pounds thinner and you still don't have a relationship, you know what's going on there. There could be a million reasons why. It's all really energy and frequency, but you are going to look at it that way. So you better have kind of a reason why this is happening for you, a reason that you would that you give your power. You know, you kind of need to change that anytime that you want to. So there's going, you know, who's going to go first. That's kind of the energy and relationships that you have. It's kind of a main component, if you will, a main thread line in relationships. So you attract people who fear rejection, which causes your own rejection complex to kind of rear its ugly head. So instead of enjoying each other, you're kind of got this thread line where it's this tit for tat. It's this constant game of chess to see who is going to make the first move out the door. Of course, in any relationship like that, someone is actually going to close the door first, right? It's just part of it. But either way, as a boar or a pig, you will turn to sugar to make yourself feel better, to numb those hurt feelings. And being that you are a perfectionist in some ways, it feels like oftentimes if you can't have perfection in a relationship or in your life, that somehow or somewhere you have failed. So you draw in a mate who is critical, a perfectionist, who is always finding fault in you and your threads. And because of this, again, somewhere along the way, flowing like a pig or a boar, you've dug in your heels and you aren't moving. And you've got this idea that life isn't fair. And oh, by golly, you are going to throw a monkey wrench wherever you need to be to make life work to the extent that you truly want it to. So you sit back and you seek to control life, your life. And, you know, it might be, honestly, most of the time, you know, it's through our ancestor threading. But, you know, perhaps you watched your dad control his life when you were a child, and you've never learned to just let go and to watch the magic the universe can perform when it's left to its own magical resources. So the boar, energetically, I'm talking about energy, could have possibly bladder problems associated with career, believe it or not, and really gravitate to people in the arena of the career who are controllers. So it's not really hard to deduce then that as a pig, the energy of a pig, when you aren't living in a constructive, hopeful life, you get into self-destructive habits. So the picture of a boar, if you will, has to fight continually to see the flow, the positive side of life, and ultimately surrounding yourself with people who are upbeat, who keep you from being gloomy or muddied down, if you will. So for the energy of a boar to be healthy, it really is, it's about getting up, it's about walking, it's about exercising, really doing something, anything to get yourself going, to get yourself moving. And then what happens is the endorphins kick in and you won't be quite so depressed. Movement is a huge thing. And also your lungs, if you've been sitting on the couch watching Netflix, especially for the last 2 years in the experience, your lungs actually take time to expand oftentimes. So in the beginning, you know, just go at a casual pace, walk the neighborhood. Another good idea is a trick from kinesiology is to take 2 fingers and press them at the base of your larynx. Actually, you could actually tap your thymus too. And then every ½ inch down your sternum, your chest, if you will. This helps our lungs to expand a little bit more. So when the boar's mental state starts to improve, they can start implementing the dream, whatever the dream is. And when you come into a state of certainty, you have this boost of confidence about yourself, and you see life full of hope, being more positive and positive attitude. Then you stop controlling, manipulating, and finding a reason to live a more healthy living style, and you will get in the flow of life again. The sacred waters start flowing. So it really is time to take our thoughts into the streams of the river to flow differently. Thoughts, you know, our thoughts, free up our thoughts, the freedom to be multidimensional in our thinking in a non-linear way. Get out of the box, open the treasure box. You could have your thoughts be multi-streaming, if you will, similar to multitasking. one stream is about what or where you need to be, and the other stream is where you want to be. It literally is similar to multi-streaming, because I am multi-streaming on many platforms. So it's the real authentic stream. That's the stream of thoughts that stream like the river flowing through our heart. It's these heartfelt streams, loving both of the streams and being hearted with no logic. It seems to be multi-streaming, literally. So it's like these heartfelt streams of illogical thoughts that are beaconing through into our thread lines about mastering our thoughts through our heart, the center of it. So we have the ability to really identify the idea that's felt through our heart space. So it's a place, I would say, that the streams will take us, these conscious river streams. And it's ultimately where we belong in our threading. So what's the driving force behind our thoughts? The main stage is our heart. That's the main ingredient to all the moving parts. In kind of I would call it the galactic kaleidoscope, if you will. So our mind is out in space being fluid and just pondering to understand the conscious streams of our day-to-day imagery. You know, what things do belong, what thoughts belong in all the arenas of life. Could be thoughts of ourselves, thoughts of our career, our relationships, our family, our friends, etc. Even our social groups, our online arena. So our heart is really online to collaborate with our thoughts in the arena of where we or what we belong doing, being, and having. So it's the magic of the unseen that is going to really switch these gears to ways that are otherworldly, not the normal, if you will. So it's like being otherworldly. You know, Elon Musk, that's who comes to mind. His thoughts are otherworldly. They're not limited by the world's perspectives. So kind of just muse about that thought there. Like when I see Elon Musk in my peripheral, his thinking is not managed by a linear world. He's into the unlimited otherworldly possibilities. So our thoughts, you know, ultimately should be in our container, our heart desires, that we have zero logical thinking. It's just kind of pops in, you know, thread lines pop in, stream solutions. They're going to come to the forefront. After that, you know, just identifying and allowing our heart to be the one to agree with the thought. So we have the ability to have all these unlimited possibilities and to grab a point of discovery, to living a style that's otherworldly out into the future. So if you feel as if you don't belong somewhere, which often happens for me, just be mindful of it and kind of intuit or diagnose, if you will, where your heart does belong in your own personal arena. Maybe we've been looking at life all the wrong way, but then maybe all of a sudden a new light just clicks on, an otherworldly insight that literally shifts and transforms everything. So we have this perspective through the corridor of the universe, the galactic upper world federation, if you will. And the insight brings in the feeling of being open and flowing into peace, being free thinking, a perspective of positivity that really ultimately feels super juicy on the inside and the outside. Now, I searched for the herb of the day. I've been loving all these fun rituals and offerings for the moon, the Imbolc and the Chinese New Year and the water tiger. But I don't know if I ever talked about ginger before. Can't remember. But I tried to find a juicy picture, and just with all the things, it was just a thing. So ginger itself is just a great balancing essential oil or an herb, right? Consists us to find our energetic center with the energy of Aquarius. Our energy is being pulled in a variety of directions. It literally is like we're multi-streaming in the galactic universe, kind of in a strange way. But it can fight against the fatigue. It's emotionally uplifting. We could create ginger tea too, right? We could create a roll-on, utilize it in a diffuser. So if you feel as if you have a hard time opening up to new people, maybe you're a little more introverted. Sometimes maybe you're a little bit cold, maybe distant, especially when it comes to meeting new people. Where deep down, you just really want to make a deeper emotional connection, even mental connection with others, telepathy. You could create a deep woodsy blend just to uplift and create confidence and boost with essential oils, or even as an offering to assist in the other realms, just kind of break on free from our own shells. Again, you know, you could utilize an amber bottle, if you will, or diffuse it in a diffuser, or just even water pot on the stove, if you will, just simmering ginger, rose, and sandalwood, equal parts, or essential oil. Sometimes I usually use jojoba oil. I know coconut oil works well, fractionated, they talk about a lot. But just again, equal parts, 2 drops each of essential oils to create a blend or an offering with the herbs just for fun. But of course, check with your local health advisor. I'm just suggesting to be creative and literally have some fun, some otherworldly insight in our thoughts, and be mindful. So, with all of that, be otherworldly in your thoughts today. Be an optimistic water boar. Get into the flow. Light a candle, a green candle for sure, to bring in that nature. And with our solar plexus online, along with our crown, it really is a possibility that our telepathy channel might bring in some thoughts, mental clarity from spirit, a spiritual conversation with an ancestor, if you will, or even an angelic being and whatnot. Just be open to that, climbing into our skin. Our inner genius is really being highlighted. So just really open that door. You might start to understand literally your life purpose with the energy of today, actually. So be open to those thoughts that you might have never allowed to come in to flow. So the energy is one that is really opening the door to otherworldly experiences, just letting go of the old, streaming to and through new places, situations, and events, experiences that are otherworldly. So it's where our heart belongs. Be in those streams, the threads, and allow spirit to move the flow, if you will, the water energy. It's all about balance, quite frankly. But I affirm, that's what I would say. I would affirm I am in the streams of mindful thoughts, resonating with my heart's longing, the desire to be. And you will find, or hopefully you're going to find, that when your heart knows where it belongs, things just click. They just fit in like the magic puzzle pieces. It's peaceful, it's joy, it's heartfelt merging, if you will. Thanks for tuning in, liking, commenting, and sharing, all of you. And if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tanya D, if you're there, and hit the bell. What that does is it notifies you. You get notified. And if you don't mind, please go ahead and like the videos so the algorithm on YouTube will echo out to promote me to other like-minded users in the threads. I really just added or finished up the elemental fire for the Voices of the Otherworld immersion. So fire is what fire is. So all the magic that resides in the realm of fire. But soon I'm going to be doing the immersion into the element of water, the spirit of water, the beings that dwell in water of this realm and of the other. So if you're feeling the waters calling you to be part of this immersion, join me for that. And as always, I will see you on the other side, InShalla and Ashe. Thanks for tuning in.